DNA. It's interesting. So this is why David is putting this together. I am David's uniqueness of all of that. The unfolding of this little child who turns into a little person. This little baby that can't even speak. You see the depth of its will. You see the depth of this. You see all these things. And it's a miracle as it develops. Our job as parents is to train up a child in the way he should go. Our job as parents, as Christian parents, is to prepare our children with a heart that's soft towards God. And to know this, God is not a grandpa. So these are the things that David brings to the table. He does bring a strong will. He does bring some never give up aspects. He's allowing God to mold and shape and refine for his glory. That's what we give to God. That's what we give to him, and that's what he can do in us. We express Jesus uniquely, each one of us. And he's never done with us, and it's always a new painting every day. For his glory and for his purpose. He has taught me how to refrain where I used to would react. He's taught me how to react when I used to would refrain. Because these are things, as you become familiar with your God, allowing him the full access that's needed for him to use you. David, son of Jesse. Thus says the man raised up on high. The anointed of the God of Jacob and the sweet psalmist of Israel. David, son of Jesse. Anointed as king when he's young. We all know the story. Anointed of the God of Jacob. And he knows his God. Imagine David with his traits not under God's control. What would that have been like? But David clearly showing us that God did it all. David clearly and humbly recognizing it is just me showing up for God. It is God who has anointed me king, and it's God who's made me a king. It's God who shaped me to be a good king. God did it all, and David simply let him. See, this is the whole thing. Christianity is not that complicated. It's just that simple formula. David in the sheep pasture with God. And God doing what he does best, revealing himself to a man who sought him out. David in the sheep pasture, coming back, all the oil that had been anointed upon him, going back to being a shepherd, but anointed the future king of Israel. And God speaking to him. Him looking at the stars, what do you have for me? As he developed so many things in that sheep pasture, as God put so many attributes in him and used him, he became amazing. When he killed the first bear, when he killed the lion, he had no idea that a giant had his name on his forehead. So here is David being just who God called him to be. The God of Jacob. And all these godly qualifications, God did it. He's not only that. He's, thus says David, the son of Jesse, thus says the man raised up on high, the anointed of the God of Jacob, and also this, the sweet psalmist of Israel. David's psalms were powerful. If you study his psalms and the things that he was going through when they were written, they just come alive out of the pages. And you see what he did with tragedy, what he did with deceit, what he did with treachery, what he did with so many things that we would fold up like a cheap lawn chair and give up on serving God. But David didn't give up. These are the things that David does and shows us. A man just like us, there was nothing different. He made out of the same stuff, the same weaknesses, the same fears, the same agonies, the same he was just a man like us. Now we look at this. raised him up. When it says that he's the sweet psalmist of Israel, and that he's a man raised up on high, that it was God who did it. Raise him up, maintains oneself is what it says. Established and confirmed him. God raised him up. God put him in this place. And it didn't happen overnight. It was a process that God was doing in David's life. He was the anointed king of Israel. And this powerful throne that he's going to step into will be forever. By the God of Jacob who put him. The godly qualifications was just this. He was anointed the king of Israel because God didn't look at the outward appearance of David. He was ruddy, and he had red hair. And, not a whole lot to go there. Now, I have redheaded grandchildren, so I'm not dissing anybody, okay? But you see this. You see this whole thing of God used him. Because God told the prophet, Samuel, I don't look at the outward appearance. I look at the heart. We can't bring God anything but a heart. We can look good, smell good, and act good, but it's our heart that God looks at. We can fool our own mothers to thinking that we have done nothing wrong, but God looks at the heart. And he knows the heart. And as we recognize the fact that it is all I can bring to him is a heart and a will that I want him to do into me and change me. So here's this powerful throne that he will be stepping into. And he is the sweet psalmist of Israel. And to be there, I can't imagine, to be there and hear it. The psalms and the songs that he put together, what would have that been like? As he kind of does a little harp tune, says, well, this, and here comes another psalm. Here comes another one. He was absolutely blessed by God with such talent, and he put it into play. And he put it in the thing where his songs were anointed and they were powerful, and what a rich contribution to his nation and to his people is the book of Psalms, is the ones that he wrote. Even today, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.